everyone, this is your primer on how to write a body paragraph for a history essay. The body paragraph structure follows the exact same structure that you learned in your English class: claim, data, and warrant. I want to explore a little bit about how these three things, claim, data, and warrant, are similar to and different from what you learned in your freshman English class. So first of all, let's start with the claim. The claim is the exact same whether you're writing a history essay or an English essay. It is one sentence that provides the supporting point from the thesis statement and then connects that supporting point back to the thesis. Data for history and English essays looks a little bit different. So in English class, you were writing essays based on a book or a short story or a poem, and your data were the quotations that came directly from those texts. And in order to contextualize that data, you needed to provide a lead-in, such as, the character Huckleberry Finn in this scene says X, and you write it down. In history essays that we're going to be doing in AP Euro, you are going to be paraphrasing the historical facts. And for that reason, you're not going to be using any quotations, and therefore you will not need to have a lead-in to the data. The warrants are the same whether you are writing a history or an English essay. In both cases, the warrant can also be called analysis, and it analyzes how the data supports the claim. So you're connecting all of your evidence back to the claim. Also, at the end of the paragraph, you need to make sure that your warrant connects all of what you've talked about back to the thesis. I call this a wrap-up sentence. So let's take a look at two examples. The first example is for the question, why is St. Francis better than Bellarmine? Take a moment right now and pause this video and read the paragraph before I go on to talk about it. Okay, now that you have read through the paragraph, let's talk about the three components here. The first sentence, which is in blue, is the claim. The supporting point here is a more outstanding football team, and the thesis would have been that St. Francis is better than Bellarmine for these reasons. So our claim says, here's one reason why St. Francis is better than Bellarmine. The data for this paragraph appears in white, and there's quite a bit of data here. So you see that there's a lot of statistical data in terms of the number of wins in tournaments, scores in games, and all of that helps to illustrate the supporting point that St. Francis has a more outstanding football team. You will note that there are no quotations in here. This is all just paraphrased. Finally, the orange text is the warrant, and it explains how the data connects back to the supporting point. The warrant here is fairly brief. Warrants may be longer in some cases, but this particular warrant very concisely does analyze all of that data and connect back to the thesis statement. Now let's take a look at a history example. Analyze the consequences of the Black Death. Again, pause the video here and take a moment to read the paragraph. Okay, so you read the paragraph. Now we take a look at the components, claim, data, warrant. Again, the claim is one sentence. It appears here in blue. The supporting point is the European economy, and the argument, or the thesis, is that the Black Death had both positive and negative consequences. So the Black Death impacted the European economy both for the worse and for the better. The data then appears here in white, and what you'll notice that is different in this paragraph from the previous one is that the order of data and warrant here goes data, warrant, data, warrant. So sometimes you're going to have one big block of data followed by a chunk of warrant, and other times you might provide some data and then analyze it, and then more data and analyze it, and maybe even more data and analyze it. The number of chunks of data and warrant that you do will depend on the question and the best way that you should go about answering it. The key thing here is that we always present data before we analyze it, and that we always end the paragraph with warrant and make sure that that last sentence ties all the way back to the claim to wrap up the paragraph.